What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Thursday, June 3rd, 2021. 27 days until Tim Gettys' birthday. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside Forbes 30 Under 30, a.k.a. the second best baby blues in San Francisco, a.k.a. the engaged one at Tim Gettys.
Let Tim host. I can't wait for this Games Daily, Greg. Again, it's been a while since it's been me and you, and we are in the thick of the E3 hype right now. So many news stories. It's all going down. This is my favorite time of year. Always.
That was the thing, I don't think we've ever been on a show where we've been like, oh man, like I don't know if I was the person for this show, but I love it when the fates align and the exact right person gets to be on. And for you, that means it's either going to be a huge Nintendo day or it's a huge hype announcement day. And it is a huge hype announcement day, ladies and gentlemen. We finally have it. Let's talk about the E3 2021 schedule. Let's talk about some follow-ups to yesterday's big PlayStation blog post. And I have Dolby news, especially for Tim.
I haven't seen this Dolby news yet, Greg, and I'm praying that it's a reversal.
Wait, I'm sorry. You're praying it's what?
A reversal of the news from earlier this week.
Oh, the Xbox exclusivity?
Yeah.
No, but I have a question for you when we get to this news story. Okay. Does that point to Xbox exclusivity? It'll all make sense in a second because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show. Patreon.com/kindafunnygames. Over on Patreon.com/kindafunnygames, you can write in to be part of the show. You can squad up. You can just send us messages that say, hey, this is what I think of the news. Of course, over on patreon.com/kindafunnygames, you can get each and every episode of Kinda Funny Games Daily ad-free and with the exclusive post show we do each and every weekday, alongside shows like the Kinda Funny Next Gen podcast and the Q&As we do each and every month. However, if you have no bucks to toss our way on patreon.com/kindafunnygames, it's no big deal. You can watch us for free, record the show live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, just like Moko Shauna is, and Kanji with 117 is, and Takian are. It is moving fast today because people are excited about E3 news and Jeffy Grub. However, if you don't want to watch live, you can watch later. YouTube.com/kindafunnygames. You can watch on roostreet.com. You can listen on podcast services around the globe each and every weekday. If you are watching live, hold on. First off, QP in the chat says, fuck Jeff Grubb. Now, there's a message I can get behind. But if you're watching live, kindafunny.com/wrong. Go there to keep us honest. Tell us what we screw up as we screw it up so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later. Housekeeping for you. There's a brand new episode of the Kinda Funny podcast up right now on youtube.com/kindafunny, roosterteeth.com, and podcast services around the globe. I think we titled it, Marvel Stars Before They Were Stars. It is a Rick rolling all over the goddamn place podcast that go, Nick teaches me about backballs. That's all you need to know.
Unfortunately, it is.
Thank you to our Patreon producers, Donovan Harkness, Blackjack. Today, we're brought to you by DoorDash and Magic Spoon, but I'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. Kevin, I got 3 items on the Roper Report.
Baker's dozen.
Now, I know what you're saying at home, or maybe what you're saying in the car. You're driving right now, you're on your way to work, and you're like, these motherfuckers. Only 3 news stories, and they said it was going to be a big news day. Listen here, jackass. These are long-ass stories. You better strap in and get ready and get hyped. Tim, are you hype? Are you ready?
Extremely hyped, extremely ready. Let's get to it.
Number 1 on the Roper Report, E3 2021's schedule has been revealed. If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, of course, next week is E3, a giant live show. It's back. It's digital only. It's happening, of course, starting on the 12th and then ends on the 15th, Saturday, the 12th of June through the June 15th. Today, E3 put out a press release. I will start at the most important paragraph. Hosted by Alex Goldenboy Mendez, Jackie Jing, and Greg Miller. The E3 2021 broadcast will feature major publisher showcases, press conferences, industry panels, extended live streams, special celebrity guest appearances, and more. Now, here's where I put in an interesting addition. I'm about to get into the schedule of events for what they've done, but what you're going to find is they basically are saying like, hey, we start at 10 a.m. and then there's all these different things that happen. And people are like, dude, this fucking sucks. This isn't a schedule. This is just you saying what people are on what days, which is fine, but you're not putting out actual times. E3 themselves tweeted this today. Real talk. Everyone would love a complete schedule with every time listed on it. But announcing days/times is 100% the prerogative of the many partners participating in this year's show. So we'll keep updating you on here as they choose to reveal so you stay in the loop. Cool? Cool, E3. I thought it was a weird one to do. So, you know what I mean, Tim? That seemed like a weird messaging on it of kind of like throwing the publishers under the bus. But
well, it's weird. I definitely want to talk about this, so I'm happy we're pausing here because I do think that it's great that E3 is being transparent about this and explaining why weird choices are being made. But I still don't understand why weird choices are being made. Like, sure, this is putting on the publishers, and it is on the publishers. They are the ones doing this. But at this point, why haven't they committed already? Like, why aren't there times and when E3 is when the ESA right now is the ringleader, supposedly trying to coordinate everything? If we're already this far, if we're already having days, if we already know where they're not going to be, I just don't really understand why, especially with so many of the other people coming forward, like Ubisoft and Microsoft and Softs coming through, like putting their times to dates, right? Not having it, it's kind of weird. And like, I understand they're trying their best, but it's just in a world where E3 is struggling to remain relevant, and this is definitely their attempt to kind of put their foot back in the industry and be like, no, we're doing something different. It's going to work this time again, like it used to. I feel like it's not the best foot forward already, where here we are a week out, finally getting some information about the schedule. You know, we have so many journalists all over the internet complaining about like the E3 registration and all that stuff. A lot of hot takes, so many takes left and right. And it's like, you know, at some point it's like, who gives a shit? But the other side of it is like, there is some valid questions being asked of like, why? And a lot of it comes back to why are things being done the way they are? And I definitely understand that it's out of people's control in so many ways. And that's just kind of the reality of life, especially when you're dealing with something like E3, which we've talked about so many times. There hasn't, with the exception of Game Awards and opening night live at Gamescom, there has never been a one stage with everybody coming to announce their games, Nintendo sharing the stage with Xbox, sharing the stage with Ubisoft or whatever. We don't get that. So this definitely is a foray into a new world. So with that's going to come hesitation and going to come some people still wanting to hold on to control and power. And I understand that, but it just seems weird this late, this close to the real E3 happening.
You're right. I think what's interesting, and to dial it all the way back to what you're saying in the beginning, right, is that if ESA is the ringleader of E3 this time around, I don't understand why it wasn't, hey, everybody, we're going live with the schedule on June 3rd at 8 a.m. Pacific time. That's when we need everything we want to announce it. You can announce it too, which we're about to get into. As we run through the days, plenty of other companies came out, said their time, said what they're showing. But why it wasn't an organized, hey, this is when we're going, everybody sync your watches, we're going at the same time, so we can say one definitive schedule and have it all in one place. It's weird that they didn't do that. Weird that they couldn't get everybody to agree to that for some reason whatsoever. But let's run into what we do know, all right? So Saturday, June 12th, the broadcast pre-show starts at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and it reads like this. E3 2021 will kick off with press conferences from Ubisoft and Gearbox Entertainment, as well as a session with Games Beat. Jeffy Grubb, you piece of shit. If I
made it to the big time.
If Summer Games Mess from Jeff Grubb is the Games Beat presentation on Saturday, the June 12th, I will be incredibly happy. But Ubisoft, Gearbox starting off E3 on Saturday, June 12th. If that wasn't enough for you, like I said, people are starting to chime in. Ubisoft chimes in. Tune in at 11 a.m. So there you go. That the pre-show is an hour long on June 12th over on twitch.tv/E3 when I'm hosting. Tune in 11 a.m. Pacific to catch the pre-show, featuring content about the latest news and upcoming updates from For Honor, Trackmania, The Crew 2, Brawlhalla, Watch Dogs Legion, and more from the teams at Ubisoft while the clock counts down to the main show. The main show kicks off at 12 p.m. Pacific, that's noon Pacific, featuring big announcements, updates on some of Ubisoft's live titles, and some surprises that you won't want to miss. Catch all the details about the next mainline entry in the Rainbow Six franchise, formerly known as Rainbow Six Quarantine, with world premiere gameplay and trailers revealing this brand new co-op title for the first time. Dive into the island paradise of Yara with Far Cry 6. Prepare for an avalanche of extreme sports with Riders Republic. You'll also receive updates from live titles such as Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Rainbow Six Siege on their upcoming content, as well as the Apple TV Plus series Mythic Quest and soon-to-be released movie Werewolves Within, both from Ubisoft Film and Television, plus a few additional surprises. Stick around for the post show at 1 p.m. Pacific for a deep dive into the game formerly known as Rainbow Six Quarantine, where the Ubisoft news team will squad up with special guests for some 3-player cooperative action. Following this, the Rainbow Six Siege community team will have prepared their very own community briefing to update players on the game's top issues. Tim, let's just do it day by day, blow by blow. That's Saturday. Sure. That's Ubisoft. That's Gearbox is coming. And then Jeffy Grubb's one-man show, all happening on E3 Saturday.
Industry heavyweight.
Industry heavyweight Jeffy Grubb, who is old enough to date people who would remember Joe Piscopo. It's a thing on Twitter. If you weren't there, it doesn't matter. Throw it out of your head. Don't worry about it, Tim. Just keep going. We're going a million miles an hour.
You know what matters to me here, Greg? And some surprises you won't want to miss.
I love surprises.
You know, this is my favorite type of press conference hypening, where they come forward and they're like, here's all the main things we're talking about. Let's just get that out of the way so you understand these games are going to be here. Don't complain when we show Far Cry 6 again, because we're going to show Far Cry 6 again. That's just going to happen. I think that's good. Said it happened. Yes, and it would have happened no matter what, but I like that they're saying it. We understand the show's going to be 40 minutes, did they say? And we can start dividing the time up in our minds with all the stuff that they're talking about here.
Did they say 40 minutes?
Did they? I don't know.
No, it's an hour. You have an hour. So the main show kicks off at noon, and then the post show kicks off at 1. So there's 1 hour of content here from Ubisoft.
Yes. So I want to give a shout out to Ubisoft for updates on For Honor, Trackmania, The Crew 2, Brawlhalla, Watch Dogs Legion. They're every game is a games as a service to them in some way, where it's like
we're putting all on the pre-show.
Like yeah, and that's good too. Yeah, it's like cool. We're still going to support these old games that people love, and then we're going to talk about the new upcoming stuff, and we got some surprises. Sounds like a good show to me. And again, we've been talking a lot about how everyone's been doing their different shows this season compared to last E3 season. And the thing I think Ubisoft has going for it is, because they've already had a forward this year, and they've kind of set the understanding that there's going to be quarterly forwards. They've been doing those at least. It's it takes the pressure off of this being the one that's going to have every single game from Ubisoft, which back in the day, that's how it had to be for Ubisoft.
That was your E3. That was your E3. That was your presentation. You had to come out.
Exactly. All Ubisoft announcements will be in this one day. Now it's like, no, there's not that, which is definitely less exciting, but I think it's a little bit more manageable.
So then my question becomes, you say some surprises. Looking at this, it's not unexpected, but I don't think it's overwhelmingly hype what they have laid out here, right? As somebody who, like, Rainbow Six Quarantine's got for me, a long way to go to make me excited for it. Far Cry 6 I'm into, but I don't need to see more. Riders Republic, I know Kevin is all about. Kevin can't wait. You're all about it too. And then Assassin's Creed. Yeah. How much can you pull? No blessing. Blessing's not. We don't talk about him. Okay. For some surprises, how much do you extrapolate from that? Because of course, I'm excited for more Division content. So I'm hoping the surprise is, hey, here's what the Division 2, first trailer for whatever the new game mode they keep hinting at is going to be, let alone Division Heartland, this free-to-play game that we know is supposed to drop sometime this year. Like, do you think on top of that we're getting in there? Or do you go as far as to hope for a Sam Fisher? I of course predicted on the Gamescast, no mention of Prince of Persia remake. What do you extraplate from the surprises? Well, ruin the surprises.
Prince of Persia remake wouldn't be a surprise, right? It looks Splinter Cell game would be a surprise. Division 2 update wouldn't be a surprise. So it's like, I think the word surprise is, they didn't need to say that. They could have just said and more. By saying a surprise, like there is a game that we do not know about that they're going to announce. That's all I can really take from that, because when we extrapolate that language and how the different developers and publishers have used them for these shows, it started to lose its luster at some point. Like even recently with Capcom, with the Resident Evil events, they were talking about like some big surprises you don't want to miss. And it was like, all right, well, that really was a lackluster surprise. Good showing of Village, good showing of other Resident Evil titles, but not necessarily a surprise, right? So I'm not expecting too much. And that's kind of like, that's the weirdest thing about this E3, where it's essentially taking all of last year's shit and just boiling it down into 1 week, which Is that going to work better or worse? We'll see. But
we will see.
I
Just
don't know.
1 week out,
I
ladies and
think
gentlemen.
that it's going to be interesting to see so much condensed into one short time frame. When I think that what's going to end up happening is the hype moments are going to overshadow so much more, and there's going to be way few hype moments.
Oh, okay. Do you not think it'll be easier to have a hype moment if it's like this peaks and valleys kind of thing? If it is that, okay, cool, here's Rainbow Six Quarantine, here's Far Cry 6, and then boom, there is something in this presentation that, is like not the biggest Ubisoft news, but is something we didn't see coming.
I mean, I think that because it's right next to all the other shows, it's going to go back to how it used to be, where every single press conference is just the immediate question is, okay, how was that? And then the next question is, how does it compare to the last thing, and how's it going to compare to the next? And back in the day, that was Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, Ubisoft, Bethesda, right?
Yeah.
That was it that we were comparing. Now
you
we're
got
going to be
Gearbox
comparing.
Entertainment stepping into the ring.
Exactly. It's going to be interesting.
Jeff Grubb.
Yeah. What's Jeff Grubb got?
So again,
Better
if you're
for
joining us
some
late or running through the schedule, it's Saturday, June 12th, 10 a.m. Pacific. It's going to be, you have Ubisoft, Gearbox, and Jeff Grubb's Games Beat happening in there. Let's talk about Sunday, June 13th. E3 Ride's broadcast pre-show starts at 8:45 in the morning. That's Pacific, 8:45 Pacific. Microsoft's long-awaited Xbox and Bethesda game showcase will take place starting at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Fans can also look forward to two special presentations from Square Enix and the PC Gaming Show and the Future Game Show. Now, if that wasn't enough, as we said, this is all on the hands of the publishers and whatever's going on with that. Square Enix tweeted out today their own stuff. Come hungry. Square Enix presents returns for E3 2021 on June 13th at 12:15 p.m. Pacific time. We're serving up a world premiere from Eidos Montreal, an update on Babylon's Fall, and a closer look at Life is Strange, True Colors, and more. You might say, what the fuck? Where's the Avengers news? Avengers sadly tweets on their own. Tune in to Square Enix Presents at E3 2021 on June 13th for a glimpse at upcoming events and the Marvel's Avengers expansion, Black Panther, War for Wakanda. Of course, I joke. You only have so many characters in a tweet. Square Enix's little image they are using mentions Avengers there. But Square Enix presents 12:15 p.m. Pacific time. We're getting a world premiere from Eidos, Babylon's Fall, Life is Strange, True Colors, Avengers guaranteed. Tim, what do you think of that lineup?
Very, very, very excited. Sunday's the day for me, besides Nintendo's conference, obviously. But
Sure.
I mean, look, Microsoft and Bethesda, that's the conference, I think, with the most, like, this face emoji energy going into it. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? How are they going to do it? I love it. I feel like there's so many exciting ways that they can take that showcase. And I think we're going to see some really, really high quality stuff from that. Moving on to Square, again, it's a similar thing to the Ubisoft side where it's like, cool, yeah, a lot of this stuff is expected. We're just kind of getting updates. Square Enix has been doing its Square Enix Present series, so we know the format. We know how they're going to present the information. A lot of this tells me that we're probably not going to be getting the Japanese side of Square stuff as much. Like, there won't be as much Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Remake 2, Kingdom Hearts, that type of shit. But that is not necessarily saying that we're not going to hear about those games at all this season. I keep using the word season because it's so complicated. Because I imagine that if they're going to show off Final Fantasy 16 or whatever, that'll be in a PlayStation something or other, not in a Square thing.
Okay, that makes sense.
And the Eidos stuff is extremely, extremely, extremely exciting. If all the rumors are true.
And of course, the rumors being, as they have been for a long time, don't believe Jeffy Grubb when he acts like he fucking invented water on this. But the rumor, of course, for Eidos for years has been they're working on a Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Which sounds amazing to me because, honestly, that's what I'd imagine I wanted from Avengers, which is just a story-based superhero game. And with
the big question there would be, do you think it's like, so, like one of the things people talk about with Avengers, obviously, especially it was nailing all the different power sets. If the Eidos Montreal game is real, do you think it's co-op? Do you think it's you play all the Guardians in different places? If it's single, like how do you think that breaks down gameplay wise?
I'm going to tell you what I hope it is, Greg.
Here we go. Here, everybody sit down, grab a stool, grab a chair. Tim Gettys going to tell you what he hopes for.
I hope that it is not co-op. I hope that it is just single player that transitions you through characters with different gameplay abilities, kind of like the Avengers game, but just focused on telling the story and having
Sure.
great gameplay, great level design, great things that are designed around one singular experience, not the grind, not all that other stuff, just a singular narrative experience, more similar to an Uncharted game than to Avengers. But with that, if there was a co-op mode, I don't care. That's fine. There can be that stuff. I just don't want that to be the emphasis.
Sure. Yeah, I'll be fascinated to see. I think my prediction is it's single player. Obviously, that's what Eidos is known for. Now, you could obviously stretch out that, of course, Crystal Dynamics wasn't known for multiplayer before Avengers, and I would also say they're probably not known for multiplayer after Avengers. But I think it's going to be single player, and then like how you do the characters gets interesting because I do think you'd hop around. That would be the thing that would make sense. You have all these different characters. I want to be Drax. I want to be Rocket. I want to be Peter. I would think you hop around, yeah. But then my concern would be if I'm Marvel Games, if I'm Bill Roseman, right? Top of the mountain, king of the castle, Bill Roseman. People are coming in, they're pitching their games. I wonder if at the pitch level, because again, Guardians we've heard rumblings about for years, just like we heard rumblings about for Avengers for years. My question then becomes, would I be like, oh, well, Crystal's already doing kind of a multiplayer thing. Like, you know what I mean? There's already a game. I guess at the time too, probably when you're pitching all these, Ultimate Alliance 3 is also already hopping around. We have Spider-Man and that's, Insomniac and that's one character. I wonder if you do that with Guardians too, but then I wonder if that robs what Guardians is in terms of an IP.
But it doesn't. Like, I think it's such a silly notion that like, oh, there's a group of people, so that means it's multiplayer. It's like, no, like it could totally just be designed around.
I wasn't even talking about multiplayer. I was talking about I think it's going to be a solo game, but I'm saying, are you putting in a solo perspective was my thing. Are you limiting it to one character and telling the story through that lens?
Just only Star-Lord? No, I don't think so. I mean, I think if anything, it'd be similar kind of to the NetherRealm games where you play through in the story mode for Mortal Kombat or for the DC
Injustice.
Not Infamous, Injustice, where it's like there's a story that's happening, and then based on each mission or each fight, you kind of get to choose one of the two that are involved in that mission or whatever. I imagine it'll be kind of like that, where there are missions that Groot and Rocket are off doing their own thing. You get to choose which one of them you are on that mission or whatever. That sounds really good and exciting to me. And I think it's interesting where it's Crystal, it's Square. They're working on a Marvel property next to Avengers. And I know that it like Crystal gets kind of complicated because there's Eidos Montreal and all that stuff, right? So it's like, am I mistaking this?
Well, I don't. You lost me on what you're getting complicated about.
Just like to the general public, like to people that are like looking at this game, it's going to be extremely compared to Avengers.
Sure, I mean, depending on what it is, yeah. And
depending on how like it's even like marketed in terms of box art and stuff, it's going to look very similar. People are going to be like, oh, this is just more of that. It's going to be hard to separate when it's like when the logos are all the same logos on the thing. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay.
It's Crystal that's would be working on this, right?
I don't. Crystal Dynamics makes Avengers. Eidos Montreal is going to theoretically make Guardians.
Yeah, okay.
That's it. Those are the logos you'd be talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. But yeah, we'll see soon enough, I guess. And that's not even it. That's we were still going through the schedule here. So again, Xbox Bethesda, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Square Enix, 12:15 p.m. Pacific time. Then, well, I guess we do have one of them here. Then in terms of the way the E3 wrote their schedule thing right here, Warner Brothers Games, Back for Blood, and 24 Entertainment will also be featured. 24 Entertainment followed up on Twitter for Naraka Blade Point and said, on your mark, get set, go. E3, set your alarm for 9:30 a.m. Pacific on June 13th for Naraka Blade Point breaking news at the E3 showcase, E3 2021. So it looks like then now if we're looking at it, pre-show starts at 8:45. Then we know at 9:30 there'll be the Naraka Blade Point thing. Then at 10 a.m. we'll get Xbox Bethesda. Then at 12:15 we'll get Square Enix Presents, and we still got to get Warner Brothers Games and Back for Blood into the mix somewhere there.
Warner Brothers Games. Interesting. What are they going to have? What could it be? I don't know. Especially with the place they're in right now with the buyings and sellings and acquisitions and mergers and all that. Like, it's just weird because it could be Lego Skywalker Saga and that's it. But there's also a ton of games they could talk about. Also, a ton of games they could announce.
I don't understand. And I'm one of the hosts, obviously. And so I wouldn't I don't know. I know things, but I wouldn't talk about things I don't know. Warner Brothers Games, Back for Blood, and 24 Entertainment. 24 Entertainment obviously is its own thing, but Warner Brothers Games publishes Back for Blood. So it's weird that I guess they're doing a Warner Brothers game segment and then also a Back for Blood all by itself segment. It's an interesting way to say it. Is all.
Do you think that comma maybe was supposed to be an apostrophe?
Yes,
it would be Warner Brothers
they're not.
games.
Well, I mean, this is when everybody should be using the Oxford comma. Everybody should use the fucking Oxford comma because it could be that they're not using the Oxford comma here, and that screws it up in the press release. But I don't know. But what we know, Warner Brothers games, Back for Blood, 24 Entertainment will all be featured. What exactly that means, I don't know. So anyways, dialing back, Warner Brothers Entertainment for you, what do you think that means? Is it just Back for Blood, or are you thinking you get Harry Potter? Are you thinking you get some of the Batman stuff? Even though, of course, I mean, I talk about Suicide Squad, Gotham Knights, even though, of course, the Dome is back. We have DC fandom coming up.
We do have the fandom, which is honestly important to note. And, based on the cadence of their announcements and where those games all probably are at, I can imagine them not wanting to get lost in this E3 week of a bazillion announcements and just focus on the stuff that wouldn't fit in the DC fandom, like Lego games and other things like that. Having said that, there is NetherRealm. What have they been up to? I was predicting the Marvel vs. DC situation, which I know is crazy, but
if they can fucking do that, dude.
Yeah.
Don't let me dream. Don't let me dream about that.
I'm letting you dream, Greg. I'm letting you do it. But even if it's a Marvel game, there's a lot of things that can come up. But I feel like we're going to get NetherRealm something or other, and that's Warner Brothers. The weird thing about this schedule, we talked about it at the top of the show, but it's like there's information, but there's not enough information. Like now that Square and Ubi and all them have come out and been like, here, we're doing Square Enix Presents, we're doing Ubisoft Forward. They've had established things that we understand, so they can just announce them with a time, and we're like, cool, we get what that is. What's a Warner Brothers game segment?
Yeah.
Is it just a panel, or is it actually a conference? And later we're going to talk about Capcom. It's the same thing. Like we've never had a Capcom press conference. Capcom just appears in other places. So that will define what my expectations are for what Warner Brothers games are showing. Because they could just show off one game, and that's Warner Brothers games was there. I don't think 100%. We're going to get a conference from them.
Yeah, I don't know what it means. Like I to that point. And so yeah. We'll have to wait and see. But the fact that they're there is cool. What it means is interesting. Is it? And I'm still confused if it's Back for Blood's part of it or if it's its own thing. But I guess we don't have to wait long. That, of course, is Sunday, June 13th. Let's move to Monday, June 14th. E3 writes, broadcast pre-show starts at 8 a.m. Pacific. It's getting earlier and earlier. And then the official dialogue starts this way. Alongside press conferences from several indie developers, presentations from Take-Two Interactive, Mythical Games, Freedom Games, Razer, and Capcom will take place throughout the day. So right there, press conferences from several indie devs, presentations from Take-Two, Mythical Games, Freedom Games, Razer, and Capcom take place throughout the day. Then I'm just going to toss this in there. Verizon and Intellivision will also be featured along with the session with Ven. So that's the run of show of what's happening on that day. This is, at least as we went to live today, the one I have the least information on for you in terms of people commenting. The one comment I got was a press release from Freedom Games, who wrote this. On Monday, June 14th at 12:30 p.m. Pacific, the Freedom Games E3 segment will air on all official event broadcasts, running for 15 minutes. The Freedom Showcase will highlight more than 10 upcoming titles in this 15 minutes. That's Greg editorializing there. Freedom Games will unveil trailers highlighting new content, launch windows, and additional platforms for titles, including One Lonely Outpost, the farming sim set on a barren alien planet. Coromon, the modern monster taming RPG from Tragsoft. Airborne Kingdom, the sky city builder from A Wandering Band. Nuchard, I gotta figure out how to say that by the time we get there. Powerful RPG. Dreamscaper, the surreal, blah, blah, blah. Afterburner Studios. In Cat Cafe Manager, the charming sim from Roost Games about restoring a family's feline-focused bistro. Also planned for the showcase is a possum update on To the Rescue, the heartfelt dog shelter dog shelter management simulator from developer Little Rock Games, and gameplay footage and details on the charity partnership with the Pet Finder Foundation. Freedom Games will also spotlight world first gameplay videos for Sands of Aurora, Tower Rush, man, a whole bunch of games that I've never heard of. Not that that matters. The E3 is the time to come show your thing, but this is an interesting one where Freedom Games was Freedom and Mythical Games stood out to me when I was reading this originally. And I guess if you go back the day before, 24 Entertainment, like it's interesting to see these smaller publisher labels being put in here with Take-Two Interactive.
It is, man. It really is. And, it's there's a delicate balance when it comes to production and when it comes to people's attention and when it comes to just their brain space, when it comes to having this marketing and these commercials be thrown at them. And at some point, it just becomes noise, even if we're talking about the big guys. Like, I don't know what that balance looks like, but I feel like the balance is off here with this on this Monday. With what they're talking about with Freedom Games, good that they're coming forward and saying a lot of things that are going to be there for people that are interested to look into it prior, or if people are excited about these things. But I just think that putting these indie developer shows in between some of these other ones, this many, is like, I don't know.
It's going to be interesting. And I think this is the delicate line, like you just talked about, everybody walks. And the chat won't be kind to Freedom Games. But my question then becomes, does that matter? Because the chat wouldn't be kind. There's going to be the thing about E3 and what they're doing this year that I appreciate, especially as somebody who they've hired to host it, is that it's the one-stop shop. You put it on YouTube, you put it on Twitch, you put it on IGN, you put it on the Kind of Funny reactions of it, right? And I don't know if you guys are reacting to everything, but there's this, running news network of shows happening, right? It's, not 24/7, but the idea is that one place you watch it all, it's going. And so that kind of shit was already happening last year, where it would be, right, all right, Ubisoft ended, and then it's going to be, and I'm just throwing out there, I don't remember the run of show, the PC gaming show, and then it's limited run, and then, this is happening, and then Devolver's doing this. So you had to click around and find all that stuff, and if you didn't want to, you didn't want to. And so I do feel that Mythical Games, Freedom Games, and this is not me saying they don't need to be part of E3. I like that they're part of E3, but the chat is going to be bathroom break, when's Take-Two, when's Capcom? They're still reacting or screaming about something that happened in the presentation before. I still think it gets eyes on your games the right way, but you bring up the great point, Tim, of how much attention can you give? This is what how much bandwidth does anybody have in general for what it is? I think back to last year at E3, or, E3, Summer Games Mess, and how many presentations we watched and how many small indies I was like, that game looks awesome, I can't wait to play it. And now I can't even tell you what that game's name is, or if it ever came out, or where it was, or what happened to it.
And bigger than that, it's like, not only was that your experience, that was your experience when that was the 1 or 2 conferences we watched that day. This is going to be the 17th conference we've watched in a 3-day span.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I just feel like they're really not doing themselves too many favors with this. And I think that I'm being critical here just because I want this stuff to work. And I think that we are taking steps forward. And when we look at the Game Awards, the last 10 years, from where they were to where they are now, it's like there's definitive proof of growth and of it turning into every year, turning closer and closer into something that we actually all think it should be and know it deserves to be. And I think that E3, unfortunately, is starting that process now. And I think that, and I say E3, but I also mean Summer Game Fest. And I also mean the entire thing. And I personally am a little annoyed at the fact that Monday starts at 8 a.m. PT. Sunday starts at 8:45. Saturday starts at 10 a.m. It's like, EA or ESA, you're in control of this. Like, you could have just put parameters around it to the developers and publishers and been like, E3 is a show from this time to this time every day. Do you want to be a part of it? Cool. Let's schedule you in a place that works. Instead, it just kind of feels like it doesn't feel like it's consistent, and it feels like a mess. And I just feel like you need to kind of present things with a level of panache and a level of like, all of this matters equally. That's how that works. That's how this works. That's how the indies next to the big dog titles actually get remembered and actually get seen, is when there's real focus being put on them and there's emphasis being put on their quality with Take-Two. But when it is just kind of like, it's all here, man, and this is going to be at this time and this is going to be at that time. This is just what happened last year, but instead over 4 months in 1 week.
4 days.
Yeah. And it's like, it's kind of like an overcorrection in some ways, but we'll see. Hopefully I'm really wrong, and we still don't actually know what this is going to end up looking like. So maybe this is great.
I think at a boilerplate level of where you're at right now, I do think it would serve the audience better to be like, guess what? E3 is the 12th through the 15th. And guess what? It starts at 9 a.m. Pacific every day. Tune in for the pre-show or the run a show with Greg, Alex, and Jackie. Then we get into the first couple conferences. And that, I feel like that shit can move. And not to, again, this is to dial it even back, right? There was so much conversation on Games Twitter throughout for the past weeks of like, how do we not have a schedule? Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, well, the days are, and you also know they're all digital. So you kind of like, we have all these placeholders on the calendar, right? For like, all right, or Blessing and Andy and all, we're going to be reacting in here. We just have to figure it out, and it sucks to juggle our schedules, but it is E3, and how does it all work? Like, I'm with you, and I think your game award analogy is great. Where game awards we have seen get dialed in to be the juggernaut of a show it is, and so here we are with E3 and Summer Game Fest, right? Trying to still do that in Gen 1 right now, trying to figure out what this looks like going forward.
Yeah, and again, it's the producer in me that like really gets just kind of, I look at this stuff and I'm just like, oh, but like really, like you have a goal, you have a key performance indicator, the KPI, and I feel like you're gonna miss the mark when instead of focusing on the 3 indie games that you're like, we really want to put these juggernaut indie games against these other things because the audience is gonna love it. Instead, they're like, oh, we're gonna have like this whole section is I'm missing the name right now. Freedom Games. What does Freedom Games mean to people? Until it means something, it just means nothing. We don't know what Freedom Games is. We know what Capcom means. We know what Take-Two means. Do you get my point here?
Oh, 100%.
Like you kind of need to earn that space.
But here's the one thing I would say about the Freedom Games thing is I like that they also say it's 15 minutes. Like you understand that this is 15 minutes of smaller games. Now, granted, that means they're going to come to you like this. Which is what we did with the game, Kind of Funny Game showcase of indies. But it is like, hey, we're not. I appreciate that they're like, we're not Xbox, we're not Bethesda, we're not taking 90 minutes of your time. It is going to be something here that, yeah, if you want this to be your bathroom break, fine. But I do want to know more about Cat Cafe Manager. I've heard about To the Rescue. Like, I do want to see what this shit's all about. Like, but I hear you. Yeah, I'm with you of like, what does the balance look like and how do, you keep it entertaining? And that'll be the thing of the host job too on this and what we're doing in between all these segments. So we'll have to wait and see.
People in the chat are saying, but like, this is how you get Freedom Games to become a thing. I disagree. I think it's a slight change, but I think that if there was a segment that E3 was pushing as like the E3 indie showcase, that means more. And in that showcase, have a bunch of indie games, have the indie developers kind of put their best thing forward and really proudly talk about, we are Freedom Games, and here's what we're showing. We are Mythical Games, and here's what we're showing. That is the type of stuff where we build association then with who these publishers and developers are, so that eventually they can become a Devolver, where Devolver means something. We know what that looks like, right? This is just kind of like, it feels like it's filling space in a show that does not need space filled.
That's a great way of putting it. Yeah, especially again, you have to wait and see. But as from an announcement level, as you get out there and go, right? Like what is Verizon's segment? I don't know.
And that is wait and see. Exactly my point. That's exactly.
Is anybody looking at this and going, "Oh shit, fucking Verizon's there"?
No, but Verizon's paying bills, man. They're that's a sponsored thing if I've ever seen it, or not sponsored, but it's a paid bills too, huh? But it's like cool. Like I understand. This is the same thing as Game Awards. That has to happen for these things to work. Of course. There has to be money coming in. There has to be deals being made, and maybe Freedom Games paid for some stuff to be able to show off all their indie games because this is an amazing platform for them. Absolutely, it is. This is huge. And to be able to even say our game's at E3, that's big. That means something. So it's like, I understand why things are being done. I just think they can be done better. And I think that they will one day.
One day. We're still in the throes of this E3 schedule. Let's move to Tuesday, June 15th. This is the final day of E3. Broadcast pre-show starts at 8 a.m. Pacific time. It's another early morning. The last day of E3 will include Nintendo's Nintendo Direct and Nintendo Treehouse Live programming starting at 9 a.m. Pacific. Bandai Namco, Eureka Games, and GameSpot will also have focused events. The broadcast will round out with the official E3 2021 awards. I appreciate that they kept Nintendo on Tuesday. Nintendo's like, we still got our old spot. Let us in. Baby. We will do this. What do you think of this final Games Day lineup? E3 Games Day lineup.
Oh my God. I mean, besides the Microsoft and Square Day, this is the one to keep your eye on, man. Nintendo, like there's so many X factors there. And it could be disappointing as hell, or it could be amazing, or it could be somewhere in between. I think no matter what, it's exciting because we don't know what's going on with Nintendo. There's a lot of rumors swirling. We do know there are games announced. Breath of the Wild 2, Bayonetta 3, Metroid Prime 4 are all games that we know are coming at some point. We just don't know when and where. So all of those could be here, or none of them. I expect we'll see Breath of the Wild. I expect we'll see something Metroid. But more than that,
real quick, I know it happened on the show while we weren't together, so I know you're recounting at some point. Are you still of the belief Switch Pro gets announced before this event? That because they put out the thing of where our Nintendo Direct will be software focused.
Look, the reality is, I have been following Nintendo for my entire life when
Sure,
it
long
comes
time.
to reading forums or, like follow as the internet has progressed, following people on Twitter that seem to be in the know and all that stuff. People that I trust, and people get things wrong all the time, and things change all the time. And something that I've learned in my years following Nintendo on a more professional side is Nintendo of America, Nintendo of Japan, very different things. And sometimes the lines are crossed between them, and they're not necessarily on the same page of what we can know and what other people can know and all of that. So having said that, I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding and rumors started that might have started from a seed of truth.
Sure.
But once it gets to an insider, it's been twisted enough through the game of telephone that it's not necessarily true. Other friends around that then pick that up, and then all of a sudden it seems like a lot of people are saying, oh, the Switch is going to be announced before E3, but really the source of that was
reporting
one
on the
seed
one
from
thing.
one person that was wrong. That was based on in truth, but it's wrong, right? So having said that, all the people I trust the most are still standing by it's going to be before E3. So with that, I trust that. But it could not happen. And I think that we're running out of time for it to happen. Today
Here's
or
my
tomorrow.
question. Yeah, exactly right. So from beyond, you say you covered the gamut of what you think about that. What do you think for Bandai Namco? Do you think they have some? I mean, is this Elden Ring's big time to shine?
Why not, right?
So somebody's got to throw Timur Hussein a bone.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's another game like the ones I just mentioned where it's like we know it's coming. That game's not going to be canceled. It's going to happen. So we're going to hear about it at some point. The world's in a weird fucking place right now. So it's like any patterns or any type of understanding that we have based on prior history of how they announce things is out the window. So I didn't go anywhere. I think it's about time. I think we see it. I think that Elden Ring is the type of game that doesn't need to be talked about as here's the deep dive. It's coming in November. The audience is there. They just want anything. And that's proof by earlier you're talking about the E3 chat is not going to be kind to the indies. Not only are they not going to be kind, every other word's just going to be Elden Ring. Over and over. And that's for all of the conferences because that's the internet right now. And that is specifically the people online that watch these conferences and chat on Twitch, right? They want Elden Ring. Everyone knows that. I wouldn't be surprised if Bandai Namco is like, fine, we'll give them something and let's keep this hype going.
Okay. Final day, Tuesday, June 15th, 8 a.m. Nintendo's Direct at 9 a.m. Bandai Namco, Eureka Games, GameSpot, hopefully Lucy James, and then the official E3 awards. Right now, they also released some fan access information. I'll read real quick. Fan access. Registration begins today for fans around the globe to access the E3 online portal and app. Beginning on Saturday, June 12th, the portal will provide access to select exhibitor booths featuring special events, VOD content, and articles. Exhibitor booths will act as hubs within the portal for key announcement and game or product information tied to participating exhibitors. The full list of exhibitors and virtual booths will be found on the E3 website. Lounges, online gathering spots for all E3 attendees. Forums, special boards for focused online discussion and sharing among attendees. Leaderboards, gamified elements that can be collected and displayed, encouraging fans to interact in as many ways as possible. Profile creation, all attendees can create and customize their own unique profiles. Tim, that is E3 2021 at a schedule level. Are you hyped?
I am extremely hyped for E3. I think that all of the fan access and the registration, all that stuff has been really, really, really poorly handled so far. And I think that it's going to be a foot forward, not a best foot forward next week. And we're going to experience it. But again, going back to it, I think 2-3 years from now, this could be freaking incredibly awesome. This could be cool. And we need to be patient with that type of stuff. It's like we need to understand that the industry is shifting. It is becoming a hybrid model of digital and real events. And that is going to benefit the most people possible, where there eventually is going to be a way that it's not just lip service, but people watching at home will be able to get the same hands-on demos that we get to play at E3, up to their discretion and all of that. But the more that stuff's normalized, the better the industry is going to be as a whole. And the more options the developers and publishers are going to have to control their own message and put it out the way they want to. And I think just across the board, that could just make everything better and more structured and just to work the way we want it to.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm hosting E3. Remember, Saturday, June 12th through Tuesday, June 15th, alongside Jackie and Golden Boy. I'm super excited for the stuff here and to see how it all comes together and what kind of show we put on for it. In terms of the fan access stuff, like I'm right there with you. Of like, yeah, maybe one day that plays out into something, but like right now, the only thing that sounds exciting on the fan access would be exhibitor booths. And I would say I'm using exciting loosely there in terms of what does that look like and what do you get from that? Yada, yada, yada. Lounges, forums, leaderboards. Nah, no thanks. But when it is, yeah, you could do it. But if you can watch everything on Twitch, you can watch everything on YouTube. I'm not seeing the reason to get into a fan access of a thing for E3 2021. But that's beside the point. I think the content's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be interesting and I can't wait to see it.
Absolutely. You know, not to belabor this, but I just want to say it's like I love that this is something different. As stressed out as it makes me and as critical as I am about the decisions made and how little information we have, I am excited to see what it ends up being because this is something I've wanted forever, is a focused show that has everybody kind of competing right next to each other. The keyword's focus.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to focus on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Of course, on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, you can write in to be part of the show. You can get the show ad free, and you can, of course, get that post show we do each and every weekday. But you're not listening on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames right now. So let me tell you about our sponsors. This podcast is brought to you by DoorDash. Did you forget that one thing at the store? Now you can get snacks, drinks, and household essentials in 30 minutes with DoorDash. Dinner? Check. Deodorant? Check. Morning pick-me-up from Dunkin'? Check. Get everything you need whenever you need it with DoorDash. You want Chinese, they want pizza, and someone is craving froyo. There's something for everyone on DoorDash. DoorDash connects you with the restaurants you love right now and right to your door. And now you can get the grocery essentials you need with DoorDash too. Get drinks, snacks, and other household items delivered to you in under an hour. Ordering is easy. Open the DoorDash app, choose what you want, where you want it from, and your items will be left safely outside your door with the contactless delivery drop-off setting. With over 300,000 partners in the US, Puerto Rico, Australia, and now Canada, you can support your neighborhood go-tos or choose from local national restaurants like Popeyes, Chipotle, and Cheesecake Factory. How do I, Greg Miller, know so much about DoorDash? Well, I use DoorDash all the time. In fact, I used it this morning. Jen woke up and was like, you know what? I really want a bagel. We ordered bagels here. I'm using the Dash Pass, so I don't even pay for delivery fees, but that's not even what they want me to talk about in this ad. They just want you to know that DoorDash is rad, and I can confirm because I'm Greg Miller, and I ate bagels with it today. For a limited time, our listeners can get 25% off and zero delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter the code GAMES2021. For our Canadian listeners, use the code GAMESCA. That's 25% off up to a $10 value and zero delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter the code GAMES2021 in the US and GAMESCA in Canada. Don't forget, that's code GAMES2021 and GAMESCA for 25% off your first order with DoorDash, subject to change. Terms apply. Our next sponsor, ladies and gentlemen, why it is Magic Spoon. Guess what? When you were growing up, you probably loved cereal. You said yum, yum, yum as you put it in your tum, tum, tum. But then you became an adult and you started looking at all the stuff that's in cereal. You started looking at all the nutritional values and you said, no, this is all sugary garbage and I won't have it. Well, don't worry about that anymore. Magic Spoon is here to save the day. You can cut down on the carbs, the sugar, the unhealthy food, all with Magic Spoon. 0 grams of sugar, 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. Also, only 140 characters. You can try Magic Spoon's best-selling flavors in a 4-flavor variety pack, including cacao, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter. So cacao, which is chocolate but not chocolate, fruity, frosted, peanut butter. Why do we know so much about these flavors? Well, it's because Gia's friend has been using Magic Spoon and she has been enjoying it. She says it's delicious. She likes, I believe, fruity the best is what she said. And I sound like I would like that one too, because that sounds like my kind of flavor. You've heard my stories of me eating cereal dry out of a cup. I don't know. You want to put milk on your Magic Spoon? That's your own business. Greg Miller I'm gonna eat it raw when I get it. Just right into the cup, right into my mouth. Let me taste all the fruity flavors. It's keto friendly, gluten free, grain free, soy free, low carb, and GMO free. Click the link below to grab a variety pack and try it today. And be sure to use the promo code KFGD at checkout to get 5% off any order, or go to magicspoon.com/KFGD. That's right, audio listeners. I'm not gonna leave you out, leave you in the lurch. You're in a car right now. MagicSpoon.com/KFGD. Don't worry about the link below. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed by a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. So click the link below and use the code KFGD for $5 off, or go to magicspoon.com/KFGD to save $5 today. We should have that music play the entire show. It's just so peaceful, Tim.
I like it.
Number 2 on the Roper Report, we have follow-ups to yesterday's Hermen Hulse big adventure. If you remember yesterday, Hermen went over on the PlayStation blog, put up a giant interview over there talking about God of War being delayed, talking about trying to make Horizon come out this year, talking about things that's going on at Sony Bend. We have a couple updates from the different studios. We'll start with Sony Bend. Of course, yesterday it was confirmed Sony Bend is working on a new IP. Sony Bend put out the following message yesterday after Kind of Funny Games Daily. We are beyond grateful for your support with Days Gone and are truly honored by the amount of passion our community has shared with us for our world and characters. Your enthusiasm motivates us to continue to improve and create experiences that will last a lifetime. From the Siphon Filter series to Resistance Retribution, to Uncharted Golden Abyss, and Days Gone, we are very excited to announce today that we are expanding the Bend Studio portfolio with a brand new IP. We hope you embark on this new journey with us. We can't wait to show you what we've been working on. Again, in that PlayStation blog/blogcast interview, Hermen talked about Sony Bend taking the learnings, their open world learnings of Days Gone, and applying it to a new IP. Timothy Gettys, how does this hit you?
You know, I think that it's really cool what Sony did yesterday, and it's an example of kind of being part of the times and adapting and changing and really kind of looking at the landscape of where things are at. And, you know, right before E3, right before everyone else is competing, we already knew Sony wasn't going to be a part of it. Last week for them to have their state of play, show off Horizon, show how dope that looks, show that like
Hell yeah,
there's a reason to be a PlayStation fan. That's great. And then for this kind of more like PlayStation blog type stuff, but not just one blog post, it being kind of like a lot of different updates across their studios, I think is interesting, where they gave a lot more information than we would have even got in a state of play. Right.
It was more honest and more human, right? Which I think what these companies miss. And Hermen is a great talking head for PlayStation, and we've talked about this a million times on PS I Love You, that they don't have a Phil Spencer, and that hurts them. That makes them look like the big corporation that they're just over there grinding. And so when stories come out about Japan studio closing, about people leaving companies because they're not allowed to do what they want to do, having Hermen come out and talk about the fact that, hey, guess what, God of War isn't happening because of course a pandemic, and we don't want to burn our team out. Hey, guess what, Horizon, they're trying, but it might not happen because we're putting our team's health above anything else. That goes really far. And then saying these things and then letting the companies actually respond about it helps.
It's awesome. And I think that, you know, this is something we've never really seen before in the industry, but it's something that we've wanted to see for a long time. It's just a transparency of even just knowing what studios are working on what, or what they're planning on working on. Where I'm guy number one that wants a big surprise and wants to be like, oh shit, it's God of War Ragnarok. Like, I can't believe this announcement was made, whatever. But things like this, where Sony Bend has been proving itself over the years, right? We have a lot of Sony studios that have been in this kind of like, they've been around and then they move on to the next stage of like, okay, we're really proving ourselves. And then they hit that stage of like, we're putting out Horizon, we're putting out God of War 2018. Like, we've graduated to this new, like, Naughty Dog putting out like Last of Us, right? Big change for the teams. I think Bend is in that stage where they can, Sony Bend now means something. So it's exciting that they're working on a new IP, because now when PlayStation has events, we're not going to be watching it being like when we're making predictions, it's not going to be like, oh, like, is Days Gone 2 going to be there, or like, what's Sony Bend doing? It's going to be like, will Sony Bend's new IP be shown off? Like, that's a much more fun conversation to have, and they're allowing us to have it. They're telling us that is the conversation, because that is what's going down.
Agreed. Continuing on with that, right, Kevin, if you want to toss this one up, I have a link for you. Team Asobi, of course, was part of the thing they talked about yesterday. Hermen talked about expanding that. Of course, when we talked about the dissolution of what Japan Studio really meant, it was forming around Team Asobi. Of course, you know, the Astros Playroom people. There's a blog post up about it, revealing their new logo, but here's a couple paragraphs from it. Following the release of Astro's Playroom on PS5, Team Asobi is now spreading its wings and growing bigger. This is a very exciting time for the team, and we are very much looking forward to this next chapter. We want to take this chance to thank all of you, the PlayStation fans, for your kind words of support over the years, especially since Astro made its big debut on the PlayStation 5 alongside the DualSense wireless controller. While we are growing and challenging bigger things, our mission at heart remains the same as ever. Bring you PlayStation magic, innovation, and put smiles on your faces with fun, colorful games of all ages. To go alongside this news, we are proud to show our new logo, which you can see in our future productions.
Yeah, sorry about that. Hit the wrong button.
I assure you, their new logo is not the kind of funny intro. If you can
sorry.
just throw up the colorful logo.
There it is. There it is.
You see it right there. Right there, obviously, yeah, again, doubling down on Astro as they should. I want more Astrobot games. Let's go.
Me too. I love it. Astrobot was utterly fantastic, and I definitely need some more of that in my life. Love this logo. Love that they're treating the team this special. Like, I love that they're like really trying to make it like, look, this is one of our studios and we care about them, and you should too, right? Like, build out the ethos of what it means to be a PlayStation fan. Yep. Love this. Love the look of it all. One thing that I'm like, damn, I'm a fake ass fan. In the blog post, they were saying that like old school PlayStation fans will get some references in the logo, and I don't know what they're talking about, but that's just me. Someone let me know.
The next one comes from IGN. Matt Purslow over there had a message from Gorilla. Of course, Gorilla was a big part of it yesterday. Horizon Forbidden West, right? Coming in and talking about the fact that it's going to be maybe this year. It's also going to be, well, we knew it was going to be cross-gen or whatever, but mainly the fact that they're trying whatever, blah, blah. Doubling down on that, Game Informer had an interview with Matthias de Jong over from Gorilla. Usually, I like to cite what's actually happening with it, right? I like to go in and be like, hey, here's what Game Informer wrote. Game Informer put up a video, so I'm reading Matt Purslow's thing, right? Back to it, sorry. As revealed by the game director in an interview with Game Informer, development on Horizon Forbidden West has used the PlayStation 4 console, and so it's designed with that hardware in mind. Quote, a lot of the development has taken place on the PlayStation 4, and a lot of playtesting has been done on the PlayStation 4, said De Jong. So we are ensuring that owners of the console have a great experience, and the game will look fantastic on that console. For the PlayStation 5, we can go much further, of course, he added. Visually, we can add a lot more detail. Graphically, the rendering technique for the underwater scenes is special for the PlayStation 5. It has extra details and extra systems. Like the wave technique is better on that system, end quote. As well as improved water and environmental details, the PlayStation 5 version is able to make use of a cinematic-grade lighting system that the PS4 can only use in cutscenes. Quote, the lighting on Aloy on PlayStation 5 has much more definition. We use special cinematic lighting rig that on the PlayStation 4 can only be used in cutscenes because the game is not running and we have more processing power in those scenes. But with the PlayStation 5, we have plenty of processing power, so we can have that lighting rig always available. So she always looks great with that lighting setup, traveling with her anywhere, end quote. Additionally, as noted on Twitter account Nibel, an interview with French YouTuber Julien Chize also revealed that the PS5 version supports a 60 frames per second performance mode. It's unclear what sacrifices will be made to achieve that 60 frames per second, but based on Sony's other games, it is likely to be reduced resolution and the absence of hardware-intensive lighting effects. Tim, what do you want to say about this one?
There's a lot to say, Greg, and I feel like this might be a topic for another day on a Gamescast or something. But the whole talk of next gen versus current gen versus like the games being cross gen versus not cross gen. Does this actually matter?
Druvinator did write in calling Sony's bullshit about the whole like, do we need to apologize to Xbox kind of thing? Since the Xbox or PlayStation was very much we believe in generations, and Xbox got raked over the coals for saying they were going to do cross gen content for a while. But you can boil it down. That can be a bigger topic on Gamescast or whatever.
Yeah, I definitely think it should be. I think that the starting point for me and going into the conversation is I don't think anyone's a liar. Things were said, the world changed. So it's like I'm not too hooked and like caring about like a lot of the statements that especially some of the bigwig guys, like what Jim Ryan said a couple of years ago about the PlayStation 5. It's like I don't give a shit because I honestly don't really think it's that credible or representative of what the teams actually are working on and doing. Yeah. And that's unfortunate, but that's the reality. That's how I see it for sure. But anyways, I do want to, after we get through all the E3 stuff, I think this will be an interesting Gamescast topic.
There you go. Real quick to BG25880 wrote into BG2580 wrote into kindoffunny.com/ you're wrong to say possible missed news. Horizon Forbidden West is 60 frames per second on the PS5. You wrote in during the fucking ad. You knew there were 3 stories on the fucking Roper Report. You wrote in after the first story about E3 trying to you're wrong me on this. BG2580, I want you to take your hands off the keyboard and think about your fucking life and just trust in Greg Miller. Trust in Kind of Funny for 1 fucking second. You know what I mean? Jesus. Everybody trying to ride me. You know what I mean? Yak, yak, yak in my ear, Tim. Let me host the fucking show. If you're new to the show, this is all fun and games. We are just having a good time. Everybody calm down. Number 3, Tim, this is just for you. Quantic Dream becomes the first French video game studio equipped with Dolby Atmos. Dolby Laboratories, a leading in immersive entertainment technologies, and Quantic Dream, independent French video game developer and publisher, announced that they have worked together to include this innovative technology in the new Quantic Dream Sound Studio, which becomes the first French video game studio equipped with Dolby Atmos. It goes on and on like this. This is a press release that I thought I started to archive immediately. And I was like, wait a second. Tim is obsessed with Dolby. But then also, wait a second. Does this hint that they're doing more stuff with Xbox since Dolby and Xbox are now in bed together?
That's the most interesting thing, Greg. This is funny. Earlier, when you gave the tease of like this might mean something, I was like, what could that possibly be? Absolutely here. Yeah. Quantic Dreams, we always associate with PlayStation. But a couple years ago, they said that they're
third
not
party.
Third party. They're not necessarily tied to them, and they're interested in exploring options. I don't necessarily think this means that it's 100% like going to be an Xbox exclusive or even like built with the Dolby Atmos specifically in mind. And I do wonder, I don't have the info on this, but I do imagine that developing for Dolby Atmos can be easily translated to PlayStation's temporal 3D
audio. That's one of the things.
Stuff.
Again, there's all this stuff in here talking about, this next generation is innovative, blah, blah, Dolby. And then they had this one, transforming entertainment. Dolby Atmos places sounds all around players with 3-dimensional precision so that they can react faster and more accurately. So you assume that, that would still benefit you with the temporal audio 3D stuff. Mark starting wants a photo of my ear.
It's absolute bullshit that Dolby Atmos is going to be tied to exclusivity on Xbox for gaming. This is a perfect example of the type of tech that needs to be everywhere in order for it to be supported and adopted, or else it's going to die. And that sucks. It's like, this is the type of thing necessary to make video games better as a whole.
Now, hold on. The chat saying it was debunked. It's not exclusive. Xbox, Dolby. You see, we have a thing called kindoffunny.com/ you're wrong, chat. It's a free fucking site any of you can go to and put links into, rather than just going, it was debunked. Yo, I know they're only in story 1, but are there any more stories on this, Joey? It's me, BG2580. Hey, it's me, the guy in chat. I don't know how to use you wrong. Get out of here. Help us. Oh my God, KDG writes it and says, in case you missed it, Andrea had a baby. We know, KDG. That's a throwback. That's a throwback to Monday's episode. Here we go.
And Gadget writes, this is Xbox doesn't have an exclusive agreement for Dolby Vision and Atmos updated. You still need to pay a license fee to use Atmos audio with headphones on Xbox or consoles or PC. Okay, that's obvious. Here's the update from June 1st. There we go. I got confused because it was 1/6, and I'm a simple American.
Microsoft January 6th. This kind of thing.
Microsoft published a blog post yesterday claiming it had a 2-year console exclusivity window for Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. Today, the company says it was published in error and that there's no exclusivity agreement. Here's the full statement from a Microsoft spokesperson. A blog post was mistakenly published by a local Xbox team that included inaccurate information regarding exclusivity of Dolby Atmos and Vision. There is no exclusivity agreement of either tech on Xbox. We're proud to partner with Dolby to offer them to gamers on Xbox, and we'll have more to share about the general availability of Dolby Vision on Xbox Series X/S soon. Cool. That's great. But I still want confirmation of it on PlayStation.
Sure.
But this is definitely a huge step in the right direction, and I am extremely happy that this got taken back. Although weird that Microsoft's leaking wrong information. I feel like this isn't the first time in the last couple years this has happened.
Here's what I'll say is that we saw over Monday. Yeah, Monday was the holiday, but I feel like it was the weekend. Paris Lilly had a dinner with Aaron Greenberg and Phil Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if he leaked this information there to make PlayStation look bad and
must have.
bump up the XCast numbers. And I won't have that on my watch. Tim, I also won't have the lack of release dates on my watch. If I wanted some release dates and new dates and what came to the mom and grop shops today, where would I go?
The official list of upcoming software across each and every platform is listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily show host each and every weekday.
Yeah.
Out today, Astalion, Tears of the Earth, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. The Last Spell, PC. Wing of Darkness, PS4, Switch, PC. Tour de France 2021, PS4, Xbox One, PC. Sunblaze on Switch. Warhammer Vermintide 2 Chaos Wastes, Xbox One. Wing of Darkness on PC, which I already said, but it's here again. Until We Die on PC. Slipways, PC and Mac. Power of 10, PC and Mac. Critters for Sale, PC. Chroma Quarter Neon, Switch. Infinite Tanks, World War II, Switch. Mystic Pillars, a story-based puzzle game, Switch. Wick, Switch. Haunted Dawn, the Zombie Apocalypse, Switch. Motif, Switch. Dungeons of Clay, Switch. Free Cell Solitaire Collection, Switch. Basketball Club Story, Switch. Reversey, Let's Go, Switch. Winds of Change, Switch. Ark concludes final chapter with Ark Genesis Part 2 now available. Dead by Daylight fans today are getting the Moment of Truth collection for the characters of Stranger Things chapter. Through a brand new legendary set, the collection allows fans to play as Jonathan Byers in addition to providing a very rare outfit for Nancy Wheeler, the impulsive activist. What a fucking world. This is GTA Online. Following last week's debut of 8 new stunt races, GTA Online nods to motorsport fans of another kind this week with triple rewards in all Rockstar created land races. New dates for you. Right now, the PlayStation blog is doing one of those things where like, hey, guess what? PlayStation VR is awesome. So here's a bunch of announcements for PlayStation VR. So some dates for you here. Wind and Leaves, a Flora builder in the world full of secrets, hits PlayStation VR July 27th. Become a ninja in PlayStation VR stealth action sandbox game. Arashi, Castles of Sin, summer 2021. Puzzle Bobble 3D Vacation Odyssey enters a new dimension on PlayStation VR, PS4, and PS5 later this year. And then after the fall, a 4-player co-op action FPS is coming to PlayStation VR with cross-platform multiplayer support soon-ish. There might have been more. Check the PlayStation blog. You can get over there and have some fun. Deals of the day for you. Xbox Free Play has announced what's happening for this weekend. Warhammer 40,000 Inquisitor Martyr Complete Collection, Warhammer Chaos Bane, and Warhammer 40,000 Mechanist are available on Xbox Live Gold and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members this right now, Thursday through Sunday at midnight. Tim?
Mm-hmm.
We ask people watching live on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames to keep us honest by going to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. Everybody's having a lot of laughs in here today because we were, again, we weren't wrong about anything. Well, we were wrong about the one thing, obviously. We were wrong about the Dolby thing. Thanks for clearing that up. But everybody else was.
Best you're wrong we've ever had, I tell you what.
That was good. Yeah, that helped out a lot. And then Nanobiologist has a breaking deal of the day. He says Need for Speed Hot Pursuit is coming to EA Play and Game Pass/Game Pass PC on June 24th. We asked people to go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, of course, to support the show, keep the lights and mics working, of course, but be part of it. You can write in with your squad up request. This is where you give us your name, username, platform of choice, and why you need help in a video game. I read it here. The best friends come and find you, and everybody plays games together. Today, Rodrigo needs help on Xbox. Rodrigo's Xbox Live username is Rodrigo. RODREEEGOOO. I think I got it right. It's 3 E's and 3 O's in Rodrigo. Love it. What's up, everybody? I'm looking for a raid team for Destiny 2. I play primarily on my Series X, but I'm willing to bust out the PS4 Pro to raid with people. I've cleared Vault of Glass this past week with randoms, but I'm looking to make this a weekly thing with some best friends. My Xbox gamer tag and PSN is Rodrigo, so add me. Also, I'm on the West Coast, but I'm down to play anytime. Maybe we can frag out in some Warzone, so add me for that too. If you want to play Destiny or Warzone, hit up Rodrigo on PlayStation or Xbox, but primarily Xbox, but you know how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Tim?
Yes.
It's almost over this week. Tomorrow it's going to be me and Blessing hosting this show. If you're watching live on Twitch, ladies and gentlemen, Andy and Blessing, Adeoye Jr. are going back to Resident Evil 8 to have their pants scared off. If you'd like to see that, you, of course, can go to youtube.com/kindafunnyplays. What are you shaking your finger at?
Speaking of spooky stuff, Greg, let's get a little promo in here for tomorrow. Greg Miller's return to In Review for The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It. We will be recording the review tomorrow. It will be posting sometime late tomorrow because we need to watch the movie during the day tomorrow because it's dropping on HBO Max tonight at midnight. So do your homework, watch the movie, watch our review, watch Greg do whatever the hell Greg's going to do on a review.
I'll do whatever the fuck I want on a review. All right.
Right.
Just like I do whatever the fuck I want on this show. As BD 2085. All right. He's still crying in a corner. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. Like that, be part of the show. Patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. If you have no bucks to toss our way and say, hey, you're doing a good job, no big deal. You can watch on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and podcast services around the globe each and every weekday. No matter where you get the show, we love making it for you. Thank you for hanging out with us and being best friends. Right now, Twitch stuff's going to happen. Tim and I are going to go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, do some stuff there. And Kevin's just going to keep on Kevin it. So until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.